Hi folks, John Dunn here, RPG freelancer, publisher behind Melior Via. I'm here with Mikey working the boards.
What is up, John? Why are you at school right now, man?
I thought we'd talk about a Savage World setting called East Texas University, and it is set at a fictional college named East Texas University in the city of Pine Box, Texas. Kind of a small town where really the school is the biggest thing around. And you know, when school's in session, population size probably triples.
Oh yeah, especially in Texas, man.
You got it. Talk about that in just a little bit. I just wanted to quickly touch on the background behind this game. It's written by a guy by the name of Ed Wetterman. He had a D20 publishing company called 12 to Midnight that did a lot of modern horror stuff for D20 Modern, I think specifically. And then he became a licensee for Savage Worlds from Pinnacle. Then Pinnacle bought his company. His early stuff for D20 Modern, those horror campaigns, were all set in this small town of Pine Box, Texas, and it had some really cool adventures published under the 12 to Midnight brand. But after he merged with Pinnacle, they decided to publish East Texas University as a setting that used that same small town of Pine Box, Texas. Again, the city's totally fictional, but the school is, it's pretty cool. It's pretty well detailed. It's all covered in this book. This is the core book for the setting, so you need this as well as a Savage Worlds core rulebook to play. There is some additional support material, but this is a 96-page full-color book, slightly smaller, about comic book size, and it's $20 in full color. So that gives you everything you need for character creation, to get your campaign up and running. I believe it's got some monsters in it, some special rules for the setting, and also a lot of information about people that are in the setting as well.
What abnormal things have you come across when you research this game?
So in playing the game and researching it, are you familiar with Buffy? Buffy the Vampire Slayer? You've never heard of Buffy?
He's a vampire slayer. No.
Okay, so Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a movie and TV series by Joss Whedon. It's where Sarah Michelle Gellar got her start, and it was real big in the 90s. It kind of was a action... we were talking about that final girl game that's out.
Oh, yeah.
And how in a horror movie that last surviving woman usually is the one to confront the monster and she's the final girl.
Yeah, those are some... I didn't even... When you told me that, I was like, wow, that's a statistic right there.
Yeah. So Buffy the Vampire Slayer was kind of a riff on that whole final girl idea where there was this girl who was... everybody thought she'd be the victim, and instead she's going around hunting and killing vampires and they don't stand a chance against her. But the whole theme behind that was, at least initially, that it was a high school setting. So you had Buffy and her friends as high school students by day and then vampire hunters by night. ETU very much riffs on that same idea, almost a Scooby-Doo kind of theme, where you've got these college students who are investigators of the supernatural. The neat thing about ETU, the basic hook to get into it, is that nobody ever applies to East Texas University. Nobody remembers applying to East Texas University, but they get the exception letter. And so once they're accepted into the school, it looks like it's their best deal. Sometimes it's because they got the best financial aid package. Sometimes it's because it's the only school that took them. And sometimes it's because, oh, wow, there's this really cool academic area that's exactly what they wanted to study. And so people find themselves in Pine Box, Texas, from all over the country, all over the world. In fact, one of the archetypes is the foreign exchange student. And once they're there, they start encountering weirdness. And that weirdness can take on all kinds of different tones. There is an extensive plot point campaign. There are a lot of one-sheets. There are some that are free you can download from Pinnacle's website. There are others that you can purchase separately, and they're all just different hooks. If you are a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, you could watch some of the episodes or read some of the comics and easily use any of them as a great adventure for ETU.
These guys over here are fighting vampires and stuff?
I think they're sitting in the library looking up information about them, but yeah, that is exactly what you got going on. So you got your cheerleader archetype, you got your jock archetype, and I think there's a journalist archetype that are all right in those images. And they're sitting down in the library going through probably, some ancient books, because ETU does have an extensive collection of books on the paranormal, right? So their parapsychology department is one of the best in the world, really just second to Miskatonic University, of course.
That is wild. So the fact that they kind of set up the application process for you to automatically basically go there kind of says a lot, you know?
Well, I mean, you're fated to go there, right?
Yeah,
just like,
it's your fate.
Harry Potter getting his letter from Hogwarts, ETU students get their letter from ETU.
If I were to ask you the question I always ask you, what's the best thing about this RPG?
So I'm a real big fan of growing up stories, and growing up stories don't just have to be in high school. They can just as easily be set in college. And so you've got these characters that are really still learning about themselves as much as they're learning about the world around them. You get to see that neat maturation process happening for those characters as they're going through these adventures. The system within the system, the way this game leverages Savage Worlds, it also adds in academics. So you have your character's academic record developing as you go through the campaign. You also have their extracurriculars, which can affect how their academics go. And then if they spent all their nights busting monsters, their GPA may take a hit. And that can have all kinds of ramifications for them, ranging from, angry letters from mom to a threat of being expelled, or even just, losing a scholarship, which can make all the difference in the world.
That's tough. So it kind of adds that, aspect where you got to balance it correctly, or, you might have some consequences to that. That's wild.
Yeah, it's a really big part of it. And like I said, those academic elements really give a new layer of depth to the Savage Worlds system and tie it really well into that college setting.
After you said Scooby-Doo, I can't help but just see that between these guys behind you. I mean, it just looks like, it looks like Wilma right there sitting down reading the book. So
absolutely.
It's
yeah,
wild.
There's definitely a strong element of that where you've got the characters playing those archetypes. And of course, a lot of them are modernized so that you've got, a tech expert, you've got a goth type character, or you can do all kinds of things. There are archetypes that are spelled out in here, just like in any Savage World setting, but you don't have to run with any of those.
You could make your own?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a big part of the rules, is the way that you're adapting the Savage Worlds character creation to suit a college student. And if you wanted to do a different kind of college experience, this would be a fantastic source book for leveraging that. So maybe you wanted to do college and just, maybe criminals that are going through college, and you want to have them getting involved in the underworld. Those same tools that are in this book could work really well for that. Or if you wanted to do more of a Harry Potter-esque college for wizards, like the one in the Magicians TV show, again, those same elements here would work really well for that.
What other entities can you come up against? You know what I mean?
Well, I know some of the more interesting game sessions we had when we were running it did center around frat parties.
Okay,
An
sounds
important
accurate.
part of the college experience.
That sounds so accurate. That's where everything goes down, I feel like.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. Come stop in, check out ETU. Like I said, it's here on the shelf at Immortals Inc. There's also screens, some campaign source materials, and then there's plenty of source materials out there on the web to help you build off of this. It's here right on the shelf. It's $20, and you can also pick it up at immortalsinc.com.
Of course, immortalsinc.com. Link tree in the bio and John's website in the bio. Let's go.